So before I get started here, this is going to be the last video in my apartment. I'm actually in the process of packing everything up right now, so it's kind of a mess in here. But yes, this is gonna be the last video in my apartment. I'm moving um, by the end of next week, I believe. Um, and we already have where we're moving and everything. I'm moving in with my girlfriend. We're moving in together in our own space, pretty much. We have rented half a house. So I'm in the process of doing all that, which is always fun. I got to change my address for everything, which is the most annoying part of moving, I think. Um, Even more annoying to me than the packing part. But anyway, since I've rambled about that for almost a minute, I'm also sick or something, so that's fun too. But anyway, here in front of me, I have a case. I think this is a medium Stockman, um, or they may just call it a Stockman. I don't know. But it's in between the large Stockman and the smaller medium Stockman. Case makes like three or four different sizes of Stockmans, and it's kind of confusing. But this is that one has square bolsters, and the pen blade instead of the spay blade, which I appreciate because I don't really have a need for a spay blade. Um, I bought this off of Amazon, which I've not been doing with knives a lot lately. But being that I'm moving, the 2 day shipping was kind of a thing for me. And I happened to see this and it had the 2 day shipping. So I'm like, all right, I'll order that. So this is just like a medium Stockman size. Probably about the same size as like the Bear and Son Stockman that I have. But you got your main clip blade here, a fairly slender clip blade. The point on it's actually pretty good for a case knife. You got a sheep's foot blade here and a pen blade instead of a spay blade, which I appreciate because I'm not a huge fan of the spay blade in general. But anyway, I think the model number's on the spay blade. So this is the 63 or 83. That's a 6, I think. Yeah, 63032, and it has a CS on it, so you guys know that means carbon steel, of course. Most of the knives I buy are in carbon steel because it's what I prefer. And honestly, Case did a pretty good job with this particular knife. No huge gaps or anything. There's no like blade wiggle on any of the blades, and the action on the blades is actually really good for a case knife anyway. I mean, we're not up there in like Great Eastern Cutlery territory or anything, but all three of the blades snap open and closed real nice, which is cool. So I really appreciate that. The amber jig bone here looks really good. Peach seed jigging on this, and this is the one thing that Case always does really well is their jigging on their handles. The one thing that I will say is there's a little bit of glue on the shield here, which isn't a big deal, but just a little fit and finish thing there. And the other thing that some people will certainly care about, but I don't because it's a Stockman, is this knife has some pretty substantial blade rub. Now, blade rub doesn't bother me on knives like Stockmans and stuff. Any knife that has two blades sharing the same back spring, I kind of just expect it to have some blade rub. But I'm told by certain people that Stockmans shouldn't have blade rub. And I'm sure there'll be a comment down below about how Stockmans shouldn't have blade rub, and I should send this knife back, even though everything else is perfectly fine with it. But in my personal opinion, and you may hold a different opinion, and that's okay. That's why it's an opinion. God, I'm really stuffed up. But in my personal opinion, blade rub on a knife that has uh, more than one blade sharing a singular back spring, like a Stockman, it has two blades sharing one back spring. I kind of expect that to have blade rub, especially Stockman knives where the blades are fit like they are. I kind of expect it to have some blade rub. Now you'll have more or less blade rub depending on how well made and how well fit the blades are together. The blades on this one aren't particularly super well fit together. The clip blade could certainly be over this way a little more. And I think even the pen blade could be over a little bit more. But, so, the amount of blade rub you have usually depends on how well fit together the blades are. But as I've found with most Stockmans, pretty much no matter what, unless it's a really high quality knife, like I don't think my Case Bose Collaborative Stockman, I don't think that has blade rub. That's also a $500 knife, so you wouldn't expect it to have blade rub. But this is a $60 pocket knife. It has some blade rub. I'm not super worried about it since everything else on this knife is really good, in my opinion. The action on the blades is good. There's no blade wobble or blade play, if you want to call it that. And it's just well made. So, pretty happy with this knife. Well, I'm actually very happy with this knife from Case. I wish it didn't have quite as much blade rub as it does, but blade rub isn't really something that's ever bothered me. But you may feel differently about that, and that's okay. But anyway, pretty happy with this knife overall. This Case medium Stockman, or whatever you want to call it, in carbon steel, which I like. But yeah, so I'll probably carry this a little bit, see how I like this size of Stockman, because generally speaking, I like a little bit bigger Stockman, just because I don't know, I like having a bigger, bigger pocket knife most of the time. But I don't know, this might get carried quite a bit. We'll see. Um, but yeah, so that's it for this video. I'll see you guys in the next one, and I hope you have a good day.